Welcome back to the channel. I am really glad you're here. Tonight, we have a special guest who's going to join us, Jack from the Mindful Homestead YouTube channel. So stick around. Well, here we are, live stream number 4. I'm really glad that you're here tonight, and I think you're going to really enjoy this live stream because Jack is really an interesting person. If you followed his channel at all, he has a homestead up in New Hampshire, and we're going to talk to him about what that means, and you'll be able to ask questions, and I think you'll just really enjoy Jack. He's a fun guy, and he's a fun guy, and he is very interesting as well. Sorry, that was a bad dad joke, right? Anyway, let's see. Before we get started with that, let's welcome some folks. We've got comments coming in. Virginia is in the house. And another Virginia. New Hampshire is in the house. The Mindful Homestead is with us. That's great. That's great. Mike, all the way from Alaska, AK Dad Stuff. Wow, good to see you, Mike. I know you've been busy up there. Maybe not so busy. It's probably been too much snow to even do anything, I suppose. Kevin, howdy to you. And the do I always get this wrong. Do for Patriot. Anyway, I remember you from before. Thank you very much. John Ritter's with us too. I beat John up a little bit last time, but we had a good time for sure. So let me look here and see where we are because I want to kind of follow a little bit of a routine. So stay tuned. As you see down there, we're going to have a conversation with Jack, and you're going to have some fun with it. I've been telling people about this for the last week or two. I've got connections who enjoy small-time farming, homesteading, raising livestock, poultry, all those good things, gardening, and we're going to learn a lot from Jack tonight. I do want to mention as well that you can find my channel not only here on YouTube, but also on Facebook. We have some people watching on Facebook at this point too, so welcome to the Facebook viewers. We're streaming live to both Facebook and YouTube, so we're pretty techie here. But so YouTube, Facebook, and an Instagram account. You can just go to any one of those platforms, facebook.com/myclutteredgarage, instagram.com/myclutteredgarage, and of course YouTube, which most of you are watching on right now, so you know how to get there. But join me there. That would be fun. I want to welcome everybody. Before we bring Jack on, I want to also ask you as we go through the evening to think about what are your favorite YouTube channels. We do this every week, talking about different channels. I know that several have been mentioned in the past. So with that, looking at that crawling banner at the bottom there, think about who you would like to see on the live stream. I can tell you that I'm pretty excited that I've reached out to what I consider are some pretty great YouTubers, and they have agreed to come on at some point. I sent a message to Neil Messick, and we're working on bringing Neil on to one of the live streams. If you watch Ask Tractor Mike, he's going to be on one of the upcoming live streams. Mike has a very great channel, well, all about tractors. That's why it's called Tractor Mike. But he he doesn't specialize in any particular type of tractor. Like my channel, obviously, has a lot to do with Kubota, because that's what I have. And you watch people talk about Tractor Time with Tim. That has historically been mostly about John Deere, because that's what he has. Although he just came over to the orange side of life. So we welcome Tim, and we'd love to have Tim come on the show and talk to us a little bit as well sometime. So think about who your favorite YouTubers are, who you'd like to see come on to the live stream. If you enter on there their name and hashtag invite, I can look back later and see if we can invite them to the live stream. And if you have a connection with any of those people, mention it. Say, we'd love to see you on the My Cluttered Garage live stream. I don't know how long we'll be doing this. I'm doing it every Monday night now at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's kind of a wintertime activity because there's not much to do outside, because as I've said in past live streams, it's nothing but mud around here. It's just nasty. The ground isn't frozen enough to do anything. So this is a great way for us to stay connected. Let me go back here and say hello to some more people. Mr. Fixit from Canada. Good to see you again. Chuck Roast. I don't know if I remember that name, but I like it. Margaret. She likes the fungus joke, huh? Margaret's the queen of dad jokes. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe they're called mom jokes. Peterson Farms, Nashville. Very nice. I have family just south of Nashville, and I certainly love that city. My wife and I went to the Grand Ole Opry, how many years ago? Probably 5 years ago or more, at the Ryman Auditorium. We went, I think, in the wintertime, and it hands down was the best live show that I've ever seen. It was just so great. In fact, funny story about the Grand Ole Opry. We got tickets. We went to the Opry. We watched the show, and we got up to leave and we were like, that was the best show we ever saw. So we're getting up, we're starting to walk out, and the usher, I guess, overheard us talking, and he said, it's only intermission. I mean, it was that good of a show that we thought at intermission we had seen the whole show. So we sat back down and had another hour or so. So Richard Klump, good to see you. Ann Masker with a heart. I love you too. Richard, I'm reading through here. Mike says orange is the new green. That's true. Watkins Tree Farm, good to see you, my friend. And we'll just keep going through some of these as well. Yes, Margaret, they're called puns, not dad jokes or mom jokes, just flat out puns. Let me get back to my schedule here and click off some of these things so that we can bring our guest onto the program. Excuse me as I am clicking around here. But, until we can afford a full studio crew, this is what we get. So if you've not checked out Jack's channel, I should say Jack and Jackie because his wife very much participates in the channel. It's called the Mindful Homestead, and Jack's going to tell us all about it. But first, I want to introduce you a little bit to Jack and his channel, and then we'll bring Jack on to join us.
Morning, everyone, and welcome back to a very chilly morning here on the homestead. So I quit my job last week. Hey everyone, it's Jack here from Mindful Homestead. If you're thinking about picking up a small tractor like the Kubota behind me, you're going to want to stay tuned to this video. Should you name your farm animals? On today's episode, that's what we're going to talk about. Spring is in the air here in New Hampshire. Today we're going to take you through the farm and show you what's coming up. Emma's a ham. Chick update, 3 weeks.
So the chicks are 3 weeks old today, and we currently have 18.
How many eggs did we get?
I don't know. A lot.
And even if you don't name individuals, maybe having names for groups of animals, but sometimes it makes sense to name individual chickens. This one right here is Little Gray. From the time we brought her on, she was one of our original Easter eggers. She's always had an issue where her legs didn't quite work as well as the other chickens. But if it's a Kubota, it's gonna be a pretty good tractor. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night, and I'll see you later. And have a great day. Bye. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and have a great day. As always, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
There he is, live from New Hampshire. It's Jack from the Mindful Homestead. Welcome, Jack.
What's going on, Ed?
How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing good. Hanging in there.
Great. That is great to hear. Well, I can't thank you enough. Is that moonshine?
I wish.
New Hampshire moonshine?
I actually, little known fact, I quit drinking maybe 2 years ago. Not quit, but I can probably count on like one or two hands the number of drinks I've had in 2 years.
So that's water then? Or
yeah, this is water tonight. Not for any particular reason other than it's just water.
Well, I like the mason jar anyway. That's great.
Jackie really likes drinking wine, and when we were pregnant with Emma, obviously she had to stop drinking. So I was a big craft beer guy at the time. And I said, you know what? Show us solidarity. I'll stop drinking with you for these 9 months. And I just kind of kept it going. She did not, though. She's back to drinking wine.
And she's allowed.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely allowed to have a glass of wine every now and again. I'll even go get it for her.
Excellent. Well, look, I am really thrilled that you're here tonight. And I know we have a lot of viewers on with us, and they're going to ask some questions. But I want to talk about your channel, which is really based on your life of homesteading. So let's start with, I guess I want to ask, what came first, the channel or the homestead? I would guess you started homesteading first and thought, let's make a channel about this.
Yeah, we had kind of, they kind of happened around the same time. We bought our property back in 2016, and I was a big hunter, and, you know, I wanted something where I could go out back and hunt and have my own property essentially. And, so we bought the property. We have 10.5 acres, and I'm not the greatest hunter, I guess is the way I'll phrase it. It took me a little while to figure out my property and where the deer moved and all that. And in the meantime, I decided that maybe raising something on the homestead, you know, whether it's chickens or for eggs or for meat, that would be a little bit better of a reliable protein source. So I convinced my wife, who was not really into the idea at the time, that we should get some chickens, and we did. And from there, things just started growing. The YouTube channel kind of entered in that my family is originally from New Jersey. I moved to New Hampshire in 2002. My wife's family is originally from New York, out on Long Island. They moved to New Hampshire when she was much younger, but she still had a lot of family back in the New York tri-state area. And when we told them, like, oh, we're raising chickens, we're, you know, growing eggs, we're doing pigs, they kind of had this idea like we were out in the middle of the Midwest, like doing it that sort of style. And the YouTube channel just kind of came about. We wanted to show our friends and family back home what we were doing and why we were doing it. And at some point, the channel started getting viewers from outside of the family and friend spectrum, and it's just kind of ended up where it is today.
Jack, it is called the World Wide Web.
I know, but sometimes I feel like in my little niche of southwestern wooded New Hampshire, it's not so wide or worldly over here. It's pretty closed in.
Something on the web, you know, it's not family only. It can get out there. So thank goodness, though, right? Because you have a growing channel. How many subscribers now, approximately?
I think we're just over 7,300. Maybe it was like 7,350 as of a little bit earlier today.
That's great. That's great. I've shared that you're coming on tonight with several people, and they started watching your channel and really enjoyed it. So hopefully you gained a few subscribers with that. And I do want to ask the folks watching tonight, if you're not familiar with Jack and his channel, please go check it out after this and subscribe to his channel, because I think you'll really enjoy it. He does a lot of neat things out there. We've got some guests chiming in here. Linda from Barbara Farm.
Sometimes it does feel like a mindless homestead.
The mindless. Did somebody say that?
Yeah, somebody said they run a mindless homestead.
Oh, the mindless homestead. I like that part too. Purple Collar Life. Good to see you. That's another channel that's growing and does a really nice job with things around their property. I'm in a small Facebook group with Chad from Purple Collar Life, so definitely good to see you. Oh, there's the. That's funny. Mindless homestead. Awesome. All righty. Well, so you started the channel.
Yep.
And you found that you had a bit of a following. And do you find what people like the most? I definitely want to talk about your tractor, because a lot of these viewers that we have, are Kubota people. That's the reason they found my channel. That's really the reason I found your channel, I think, was looking at Kubota videos.
That was how we found a lot of our viewers right off the bat. Before we had 1,000 subscribers, I think we had a video where I bought the BX 2822 front mount snowblower for our tractor. And apparently there wasn't a lot of documentation out there on it. I couldn't find too much on it. So I did a review video. It was really short. I think it was only like 5 minutes. And that one December just took off and people started watching it. And I think that's how a lot of our tractor base kind of found the channel.
Do you find that they're still your more popular videos are the tractor related ones or
yes. Oh,
yeah.
100% for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we've settled into a few niches, without getting too geeky on the whole YouTube algorithm and things like that. What we've kind of found that YouTube likes to push us out for is our tractor videos obviously are number one. But we do pretty well with our pastured pigs. And then some chicken stuff as well tends to do pretty well.
Chicken stuff, huh?
Chicken stuff.
Nice. There's John Ritter. Hello, John.
What's up, John?
John's everywhere, isn't he?
John's probably got like 5 YouTube live streams open right now, and he's commenting in every single one, watching everybody.
He's a good supporter of everybody, that's for sure.
Yep.
So I see Linda's watching from Facebook, and we're going to get to some questions, which we really could do at this point. She's wondering if you've raised meat birds and if you have any information about that.
We have. Yep. So we do a couple batches of meat birds every year. We usually do them in the fall. This year, we're actually switching to one spring batch and one fall batch to kind of spread them out a little bit. But we do a truly pastured Cornish cross, which is fairly rare in the meat bird industry. A lot of meat birds, people raise them in chicken tractors and they'll move them along. And what we wanted to do was actually raise a bird that was a little bit more active, but still got to that finish weight within 8 weeks. And, I could nerd out on this whole thing, but essentially the way we do it is we use a Premier One poultry netting, 165 foot. We run it around in a square. We put one chicken tractor in the middle and we leave the door open so they can get in there and out for shelter. But other than that, they're fed on one side of the pasture. They're watered on the other side of the pasture. And they have to go back and forth to get the food that they want. So, your standard Cornish cross, which, will sit down on the ground for roughly 6 weeks of its life and just gorge on food. We tend to raise a little bit more active bird. It's a little bit smaller, but it tends to have a much better taste.
Isn't a fat, lazy bird more tender and tasty though than a?
It can be, yeah. It's just I feel like if we're going to try to hit that niche, I mean, a fat, lazy bird is great, but it kind of like you look at it and it's like, oh, that's not the way chickens really are supposed to be. Like our egg chickens in the back, they're moving all over the place. They're having a good time. Our meat birds, as much as they are just Cornish crosses and they are the standard chicken. I mean, if you go to the grocery store right now, go to Walmart and buy a chicken on the shelf, for, 89 cents a pound, you're going to get the same breed of chicken that we're raising, but we're trying to do it in such a way that you're getting more flavor out of that bird and you're getting a bird that's lived a better life. Linda, the area that we're doing is it's 165-foot length of poultry net. So I think if I bust out the phone real quick and do the math on that, divided by 4, it's going to be approximately a 41 by 41 foot area that they have. And because that's a grassy area and it's out on pasture, and we have them moving around, they tend not to poop that up too much within the 6 weeks that they're outside approximately.
Yeah, that's a big area, I think.
Yep.
I mean, a chicken tractor is only, maybe 8 by 8 or so?
Yep. Yeah, usually 8 by 8, 7 by 7, depending how you build it. I think a John Suskovich tractor, which is what we've used, I think they're 6 by 10, and you can do 30 birds in each one. We actually, because we have this wider area, we'll raise 50 birds at a shot.
Okay.
We'll order 60 and then plan for 50.
Let's take a second to kind of quickly explain what a chicken tractor is, because some people might not know, and they're picturing a tractor or a chicken sitting up on a tractor driving around. So tell us what a chicken tractor is.
So a chicken tractor, it's an idea of essentially to mobile coop with an open bottom, so that some will have wheels on it, some are built light enough so you can drag them, but it's a closed-in structure. It can be high, it can be low, but the idea is that every day you'll go out and you'll pull that tractor, one length. So the chickens will have fresh grass every day. And typically they'll have feeders and waterers attached to them so that you don't need to move feeders and waterers as well. And that's just kind of the standard way that a lot of people raise chickens on pasture. If you see pastured poultry, that's what people will be doing them in. For us, that's a great way to do it. But the Cornish crosses, they poop so much. If anybody in the chat has ever raised Cornish crosses, this. They literally, it's almost like the food goes in and it pushes poop out the back as they eat it.
What goes in, you could come out.
Yeah, you could move a chicken tractor at 8 a.m. in the morning, and by 11 a.m., whatever pretty green grass you had that they were on is just going to be matted down with poop. So they end up sitting, in their poop anyway, which whether they're sitting on concrete or in a cage in their poop or on grass, to us, that didn't really, it didn't really appeal to us. We wanted to give them a better life.
That is fascinating and disgusting all at the same time.
Yeah, you get good use out of your muck boots when you're raising meat birds.
Yes, that's for sure. Quick follow-up from Linda. Do you process your own birds?
We do. We process our own birds. We have a Wright Farm chicken plucker, and we use a turkey scalder with a big 70-liter or 70-quart pot on top.
So you do everything. You boil, you defeather, you've got the equipment to do it all.
Yep, we do the kill cones. We we slaughter, we scald, we pluck, and we shrink wrap each bird individually.
Do you freeze?
And then we do label them.
Any frozen or all fresh?
We sell them all frozen.
Okay.
We will sell fresh if people know, but typically, on the day of slaughter, I don't necessarily. They're rough days. I don't want people coming up to the house that day to pick up, birds and whatnot. So
yeah.
Usually we have chest freezers downstairs. They all go into the chest freezer. They freeze solid, and then we sell from there.
Yeah, you got to close the gate to the property when you're processing.
Yeah, it's
what is going on here?
Yeah, I won't really say anything about. I mean, we haven't had any issues here in particular, but I will say I was helping Morgan from Goldshaw Farm. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but Morgan and I are friends, and I went up and I helped with goose processing this year up at his place, and there were some fans of his channel. His channel's much larger than ours, obviously, but they had figured out where he lived, and they showed up on goose processing day. And his channel is a little bit different from us. He kind of shies away from some of the processing stuff in the day to day. He's got a little bit different audience than we do, and I'm sure they were a little bit surprised to see 4 guys with knives and headless geese everywhere.
So you show the processing on your channel.
We do, as much as YouTube will let us. We do show. Yeah, we have a channel or a video both on our hog processing and our chicken processing this year.
And I don't mean to make light of processing, because it's probably a touchy subject for people. Mm-hmm. But one of your most recent videos was about naming your livestock.
Yep.
And I think that's really interesting because as long as we're going to eat poultry and meat, it has to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So why not have it come from a mindful homestead rather than
Yep.
a supermarket or a processing plant. So, tell me a little bit about your thought process with naming your livestock.
So it was actually my wife. Oh, with naming the mine, I thought you meant naming the farm itself.
Yeah, sorry, we could go back to that too. And
Oh no, yeah, we can come back to. I mean, I guess we could start there and then go into naming the animals.
sure.
I mean, the naming of the homestead really came from my wife. I mean, the whole idea and why we got into this was that my wife and I decided we wanted to have this connection to our food. You know, originally that was me through hunting, and then later on it came through raising our own food. And we were just kind of kicking around names for the farm, like you joke, like, oh, let's just name it. And she's a psychotherapist, so she does this mindfulness thing every day with her clients. And she said, why don't we just call it the Mindful Homestead? And you know, I have a little bit of a sales background, and immediately, like, the logo started churning in my head, and we ended up with this, you know, sitting meditating person with a couple chickens bothering him on either side. And that was where the name came from. The mindset of coming into naming our animals really kind of stems from that, being mindful of what your food is and where it's coming from. You know, I try to say, when it comes to pork and chicken, I don't eat anything that I haven't looked in the eye, which is a little bit intense for some people if you think about it. But at the same time, you know, if I see these animals every day and I'm looking them in the eye, you know, it feels weird to look at them and say, oh, you're pig 1, you're pig 2, you're pig 3. You know, eventually they do take on characteristics, and regardless of in your head how you've decided that they're already going to become food, you're going to have a pig, and that, you know, that pig's going in your freezer. But that pig, at the same time, it's got blue eyes, and somebody said, oh, you know who else had blue eyes? Frank Sinatra. That pig now becomes Frank, and that's his, you know, that's who he's become embodied as. You know, it just kind of happens. And I don't think you're weird or sick or twisted for doing it. I think anything you name, you're going to treat with in a more humane manner. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say I don't kill pigs, because we do. That's what we do. We kill pigs and then we eat them here. But if you can give them the best life up until that day, you've done your job as a farmer. And, you know, that one bad day, that one bad instant when it's lights out, you know, you've done everything you can.
That's very kind. I agree with that. You know, if you're going to have livestock, why not give them the best life that you can? Because they're there, and they're part of your world. And I think that's really commendable. So tell me this, though. What's it like being married to a psychotherapist? Does she say?
You know what? I wouldn't know at this point. She's completely brainwashed me of knowing what it's like. It's good. You know, I joke sometimes and I say I'm probably her most labor intensive client, despite not trying at all.
It's challenging.
Exactly. Yeah. No, there's a conflict of interest where she's not necessarily supposed to be my therapist, but as anybody who is married knows, your husband or wife, regardless of their professional qualification, ends up being your therapist.
That's right.
So it's good. It's not. It has helped before. You know, I won't say it hasn't, you know, played a role at all. Like, she definitely, if I'm worked up over something, or, you know, we had an incident this year with the processing of our pigs, and I was really distraught about it. There's a video on our channel where I talk about, you know, what my greatest fear is raising pigs. And spoiler alert, it's customer satisfaction. It's the people that are buying our pork are getting the product that they want. And this situation challenged that a little bit. And, you know, she was able to kind of help me process it and get through it. And I was ready to just not do pigs next year at all. And she kind of talked me off that ledge.
That's awesome. That's great. And she appears on your channel. She participates along with your daughter.
Yep.
Who
Emma
has
and
grown up on your
Jacqueline.
channel.
Yep. Yeah. Jackie, she tends to stay a little bit more on the gardening side of things.
Yeah.
You'll see her make an appearance on some of the livestock animals, but wintertime isn't really her jam. So she tends to do a little bit less outside with that. And Emma is kind of my right-hand girl at this point. She's with me all day long. I was tapping maple trees this morning, and she was out in the snow with that. And she comes right up. I won't let her in the pig pen, but she'll come right up to the electric fence, and she knows not to touch it.
That's good.
Yep.
You only have to touch it once.
She's a good listener. She never even had to touch it once, which there's been a few times where I've actually been worried because we've gotten all the way out there and we have a kill switch for it in the barn. And, I've gotten all the way out there and realized I forgot to turn it off. And you just kind of like, Emma, stay, don't come any closer. And she's been pretty good.
Yeah. When I was a kid, we were so bored, we used to touch it intentionally.
There's a good video somewhere. I forget the video it is, but I get shocked real good by the electric fence in one of the videos. I just happen to have the camera rolling, and all of a sudden you just see me let loose with all sorts of expletives and jump back.
It's just horrible. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your tractor. This viewer here out in the shop, I like that. Curious about our tractors, you and me both, thinking that we both qualify for larger tractors. I can tell you that I don't have a large property here. We're on 4 acres. So the B2601 to me seemed like the perfect size. Turns out you can always use a larger tractor. Like, you're always going to find something and you're going to push it to its limits and say, I could use a little more lifting power on that loader, or, you could always use a little bigger. But I'm very happy with the B2601. I could have gone with an L2501, which sits on a larger frame, same horsepower, but more horsepower at the BTO. But for the most part, I'm really thrilled with what I have for its size. I, of course, would probably like to have a backhoe, but that was like another $6,500 option or so. And I just don't know how often I'd use it. If I had one, I'd probably use it all the time and would have holes everywhere. But anyway, I'm happy with mine. Now you have at least twice as much land as we have.
Yep. And
you've got the BX series, which I'll admit seems a little small. So I think that's a great question.
Especially when I'm sitting on it.
So tell us about your decision to buy the BX, if you're happy with it, if you
So the BX, when we moved onto this land, we didn't necessarily know what the grand scope of the tractor was going to be. We knew that having a tractor would allow us to do the things we wanted. I mean, honestly, we bought the tractor for the mower and a loader. And it just so happened we had a 77 Dodge as a plow truck at the time. And it was going through a whole host of mechanical issues, and I was tired of working on it. And the snowblower almost came as an afterthought. So when we purchased the BX, we bought it, with the 60-inch mower, the regular loader bucket, and the 55-inch commercial blower, because we've got like an 800-foot gravel driveway. And we've had the tractor now. This is our 3rd winter. And it's performed admirably. That's a long word for me to pronounce right now. Incidentally, I was on Kubota's website maybe 5 or 6 hours ago pricing out LXs. So we're kicking around the idea. The biggest thing for us was it was a starter tractor. My wife had never operated any equipment at all like that. I'd operated some, mini skids and mini X's and things like that, but nothing, full time for me. It was just kind of here and there renting stuff on other people's properties. So the biggest thing for us was that she wanted to be able to use it to mow, and our options for mower decks were, you're not getting a mid mount on an L. You're going to run a rear mounted finish mower or something like that. So we went with the BX just because it seemed to make the most sense. Obviously, front mount snowblower attachments for bigger tractors tend to be a little bit more spendy. It kind of hit the sweet spot for everything, and we felt comfortable with it, which is why we went with that. As I mentioned, though, we are possibly looking at larger tractor options.
So the smallest LX is what, the 2610, I think?
Yeah, they do a 26 and then they do a 33.
Yeah. Do you have a preference? Are you leaning a certain way? Are you dreaming a certain way?
We don't run a lot of, honestly, the 55-inch blower that we're running on the BX, we have a BX 2380. The 23 horsepower has been plenty for the snow blower on that. I don't necessarily, that's really the only PTO driven implement that we're running. Aside from the mid-mount mower, we're not running a rear tiller. We're not running, brush hogs or anything like that. We're forested mainly. So really there's no rear PTO implements that we would be running that I would really need the 33 for over the 26.
Right.
I haven't encountered a situation yet with the 23 where horsepower has been not enough. So we would probably go toward the 26, save the money. And as I found out, the 55-inch commercial blower that we've got will not work on the new front hitch on the LX.
That's a bummer.
So it would be, we'd have to actually go, if we wanted a commercial blower, which is what we should have, being that we're on a lot of gravel and dirt, we would have to buy the commercial blower for the LX. So it gets, the couple $100 that some people quote as, oh, it's only a couple $100 to go from a BX to an LX. It's a little bit more for us just because we would have to be selling implements as well and then rebuying those implements for the bigger tractor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For folks who are just joining us, we're talking with Jack from the Mindful Homestead YouTube channel, and we're taking questions in the comments. Right now, we're talking about Jack's Kubota experience and mine. I can say with the B2601, I haven't been at a loss for power, although there have been a couple times when I have nearly stalled it. But I do run a 60-inch finish mower off the back, and I use it more like a bush hog than a finish mower. So I shouldn't be doing that. But, when you have things that you want to cut, you use it because that's what you have. So
run what you got.
I've had no limitation of power. The loader, sometimes you want to pick up something heavier than you should. But that would always be the case. Whatever size tractor you have, you'll try and pick up the biggest thing you can.
I've had more instances where I wish the tractor weighed more than I wish I had more horsepower.
Yeah.
That's kind of been my main sticking point, is just the size of it.
Do you have any ballast on the back, or tires filled with fluid?
Tires are filled. We don't have ballast on the back. I do have plans within the next couple months to pick up a rear blade, just to help with snow removal as well.
Right. Yeah, I do. My tires are filled with, I guess it's bio ballast or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always keep a box plate on the back whenever I'm using the front end loader or something, some kind of attachment back there.
Yep.
I do have the rototiller, which is, I love it. We hardly had any grass left last summer because we were like looking to rototill.
Till it up.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And then my Woodland Mills wood chipper is a fantastic piece of equipment. We just love that. And we're not in a heavily wooded area. We have most of the property's clear, but there are trees around, and boy, they drop limbs and branches constantly. And comes, like right now, that it's a mess out there. And come spring, when the ground dries up enough, we'll have plenty to chip up. We usually would create a giant bonfire, several each year.
I'm lucky enough. I've looked at rear chippers before, but I'm lucky enough to have worked in a previous life. I worked with in the tree care industry, and I know enough arborists in the immediate area where, if I need anything chipped, I can usually just make a call and say, hey, can you bring your chipper out? And they've got like 12-inch chippers that'll take, whole trees in, essentially.
Nice. Yeah, if you're in a wooded area, I'm sure there are a lot of tree services out there, and
plenty.
folks. So that's great. Let's see if we have any other questions from folks here.
I think John had one. We'd be utilizing more land eventually for cows, goats, etc.
Good question, John.
No cattle. Our land is just not set up for it. We don't have much pasture, if you will. We are looking at clearing an area, having an outside service come in and do that. So we would have up to 4 acres of more open land, but it wouldn't be like your typical pasture. And I've got enough connections for beef that's kind of how we do the beef thing. Goats, on the other hand, are something we have looked into. We've made the decision, and again, if you watch our channel, I've mentioned this before, we're not interested in milking anything, either Jackie or I. We're both kind of people where, if we have to get up and get out the door to do something, either work or play, we are sleeping up to the last moment. So as far as getting up every morning and milking goats and then possibly doing it in the evening, depending on the breed, that's not something we're interested in. What we have looked at goats for is another potential meat source. Obviously, raising chicken and pork on the farm are great, but we don't have something that would kind of fit into that red meat category. Obviously, you get tired of eating pig all the time. So we have looked at various breeds of goats to possibly bring on in the future. I think we may be leaning toward Kikus, which I know are kind of a hot breed in the goat world right now. I don't know a ton about them. I've talked to a few people that have owned them, but that would be probably 2-3 years from now.
I'm not familiar with that breed. I did raise sheep for several years, and they were. I would say they were a lot of work, but they were also not a lot. Like for the most part, they kind of were out there and did their own thing. But then to get them sheared every year,
Yep.
the wormer, the trimming of the hooves, they were kind of a lot of work that way.
Yeah, that's the one thing that gets me with virtually all ruminants, especially the smaller kind, goats, sheep, is the whole worming thing. Nothing's been raised here on the property. I mean, everything is virgin land. So with pigs, honestly, with the last 2 years we've raised pigs, we haven't wormed at all. And the carcasses have come back completely clean. There's been no worms in them that we've had to worry about. So I feel like goats would be the same way. But in the very same breath, it's not something I know about. And I know that goat worm loads can get pretty high pretty quick when it becomes an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a stream that runs across the property, and it was kind of sad. We had a blind sheep, and she was so old, but she would follow the herd. She would, through, hearing them, she would follow them around. But there were several times I had to jump in there and pull her out of the stream, because once that wool gets weighed down.
Oh yeah. There's not much. They're not getting up.
Yeah. Yep. So good question, John. Takes a teacher to bring us back in and ask us a real question. Pop quiz. AK Dash, the rear blade is his favorite attachment. That's a good one. I have a box blade, but I would like to have a rear scraper blade, which I've had in the past with other tractors. Since I don't have a snow blower or a snow box pusher, a rear blade would be good for snow, which luckily we've not had to worry about. I haven't had a plowable snow in a few years, so
I'll send you some.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's all right. It's all right. I like although it's been pretty. We've had a lot the last few weeks, but it's the kind of snow that falls and then it disappears. And then today it was snowing for a long time. Now it's gone, but you get the effect without all the hassle. So, all right. Let me look at my notes. Make sure I see what other questions I might have for you. Tell me this, Jack. You mentioned you were working on some maple taps. I have an interest in that. Obviously you gathered the maple from the trees.
Yep.
Let's talk about that a little bit. And you process it all the way down to the syrup part?
Syrup, yeah. So we have on our property, we have a fairly wet section of hardwoods out front, and there's a lot of maples in there that they're not your sugar maples, which are your typical maples that a lot of the high-end producers do. But a maple tree is a maple tree as far as tapping goes. The main difference that you're going to get is the sugar content in the sap. So anyway, the trees that we tap, they're rock maples, silver maples, people call them different things. But they do give you a sap that you can boil right down into maple syrup. It just takes you a little bit longer because there's a little bit more water content in there. But when we moved into the house, somebody left an old wood stove in the garage, and we had one inside already. So I said, all right, let me see if I can hack this thing into an evaporator. And I basically just went at it with a grinder and cut the top off this thing and chunked a chafing dish, like a silver steam tray, like the lunch ladies at school would serve you in high school with.
Yeah. And
we put the sap in there and we boil it off. It's open air. You're standing outside in the cold while you're doing it. And we make probably up until last year, we made about a half a gallon a year of syrup, which got us as a family through the year. We are looking this year. It's on order. It's coming. It's getting shipped out tomorrow. I've got a real maple pan coming. It's a 17 by 27 inch pan divided. And I am building a new evaporator out of an old barrel I've got kicking around on the property. And we're going to hopefully I'd like to boil somewhere around 3 or 4 gallons this year of finished syrup, which would correlate.
Is the evaporator basically a still?
Evaporator is a little bit different than a still. So you're not condensing the maple syrup. Essentially what you're doing is you're taking the sap and you're putting it in, you're boiling off all the water and leaving the sugar behind in the pan. So you're looking to start out, you're probably about 2% sugar when the sap comes in and 98% water. And you're looking to get down to usually, I don't even know the percentage, but I know that if you boil approximately 50 gallons of sap, you'll get 1 gallon of syrup out of it.
I was thinking that. I read that earlier today. I thought it was 40 or 50 gallons. So, when you tap the tree, you use, I've seen on some other videos, you generally use like a 5 gallon bucket.
Yep.
And you have the hose that goes out of the tap.
Yeah, so we use actually I don't have it in front of me. It's over in the kitchen right over there. But we use little plastic taps. You can get them at like any farm store. Tractor Supply sells them. Your Agway, local Agway, if you have those, will sell them. Rural Kings probably sell them too. It's just a little plastic tap that goes in the tree. You connect some 5/16 tubing to it, and we run it right down to a 5-gallon bucket that sits on the ground at the base of the tree. You'll see the old school galvanized buckets that hang on the trees. Those are cool. They're a little bit more involved. They're 1 gallon, so you've got to open them a little bit more often. But typically, they do keep you on your toes. You're supposed to boil within 4 days of collecting the sap anyway.
So 4 days of sap dripping into the bucket.
Yep.
How much after 4 days? Typically, how much is going to be in that bucket?
Depends on the tree and it depends on the temperature. I've got trees that'll give me almost 2 gallons a day.
Wow.
It really depends the cycle that you get into. A lot of the time the trees like barely above freezing days and barely below freezing nights. So that's kind of the cycle. And the times that you tap every year will vary, like the dates. I just happened to look at the weather forecast for the week yesterday and noticed that starting tomorrow, we're going to settle into like upwards of like 35, 40 during the day, and then like 27, 26 at night, which is prime maple season. So
Right.
I put everything in today, and I'll probably start checking for sap Wednesday and see what's in there.
And did you say you're supposed to boil within how many days of collecting it?
Typically 4 days. You want to keep it cold. If you can freeze it, it's even better. But the sap is living. Like I said, there's 2% sugar in there. So if you let it sit too long, bacteria will start to grow on it. Obviously, you want to keep the temperature as cool as possible, but it'll oxidize as well on you. And typically, if you see the sap start to turn yellow, that means that you want to get rid of it and toss it. Last year, there was a warm snap, and I missed a couple buckets for a couple days, and I had to dump probably 10 gallons of sap out.
Wow.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, folks, let's see if you have any more questions for Jack, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. I thought we'd pause for a moment, Jack, and have a little fun. I'm not going to quiz you like I did with John Ritter. I put him on the spot.
I was studying too.
Oh boy. Well, then maybe you can answer these questions. But I did a little bit of studying about New Hampshire. I thought we could talk about New Hampshire just a little bit. So let's plan for that. Here's what I found about New Hampshire. Now, you may know several fun facts because you've lived there how long? How many years?
2002.
Okay. So
20 just under 20.
That's good because I'm not good at math, but
19.
2002 is longer ago than it seems,
Dude, college seems a long way off now.
2002 sounds like, that was like a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I read that Captain John Smith named New Hampshire after the town of Hampshire, England. Imagine that.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think Captain John gets many points for originality there.
He was a crafty guy, but that was not one of his finer works.
No, that's kind of lame. It really. I mean, I'm from New Jersey, so I guess they did the same thing there. Just like our old town was named Hampshire. Let's call the new town New Hampshire. So anyway, I guess there are a lot of towns and cities like that. Knew everything. I was thinking if you had another daughter, you could name her New Emma.
There we go.
Right? New Emma from New Hampshire.
Emma 2, the sequel.
Emma 2.0. This is interesting. The first potato cultivated in America was in Londonderry, New Hampshire in 1719.
That's real new to me.
Potatoes did not exist apparently in America until 1719 from the town of Londonderry. Do you know where that is?
I do. It's maybe 25 minutes that way.
Yeah, that doesn't help at all, but thank you.
I'll give you a fun fact.
Whatever that way is. Yes, tell me.
The town that I live in, so the first commercial blueberries that were sold, the wild plants to breed that commercial variety came from my town.
Very nice.
Where we live now. We actually we have hundreds of wild blueberry plants on our property to the point where I turn the pigs loose on them sometimes to get rid of them midsummer when there's berries on there.
Wow.
and just let them go crazy because it's almost an infestation of wild blueberries.
Is it like boggy in that area? Because we have here in New Jersey, we have a lot of blueberry farms that are the blueberry bogs, I think they're called.
Yeah, damper areas. Yeah, they're not necessarily like swampy, but they're more damp than the surrounding areas. Damp and
Interesting. Another fun fact about your home state there. The first public library in America was in Petersboro, 1883. Did you know that?
Peterborough's the next town over from us.
There you go.
Wow, that's
first library. You guys
know more about this than I do now.
The state of firsts. This is interesting. The first legal lottery in the United States in the 20th century was in New Hampshire in 1963.
That one I did know. I've heard about that.
Do you have a lottery winner's tax?
You know what? I've never won, so I don't know. I do know, I can tell you as far as taxes go, we have no income tax. We have no sales tax, and our property taxes are regulated by towns, not the state. So, our overall tax burden tends to be fairly low. I know a lot of people say up here, at least, will say, oh, well, they whack us on the property tax, but I'm pretty sure, and speaking to my parents who still live in New Jersey, their property was assessed a little bit more than ours, and their property taxes were about the same, if not way more.
Right.
So I think we do all right up here as far as taxes go.
I've mentioned that I am in New Jersey, and I think we are among the highest taxed in the country.
Yeah, but your highest, some of the highest property taxes, and then you guys get whacked on everything else too.
We do.
What is the sales tax now? It was like 8 or 9%.
You know what? You know what's weird about the sales tax? It was a high of 7%. It went from 6% to 7%.
Yep.
And then they went with some kind of gas tax, but the governor at the time decided that if we were going to have a gas tax, we're going to lower the sales tax. So now it's like 6 7/8 or something, some kind of crazy thing like that. Like,
if you can't wow them with wisdom, baffle them with something else.
That's right. So I don't even know what the sales tax is. It's 6 point something. It's kind of crazy, but that's okay. You've got Mount Washington there, right?
We do. Worst weather in the world.
Worst weather in the world, and it's the oldest man-made tourist attraction in America.
Yep. Yeah. When was a funny story? So we went up Mount Washington when I was young. We still lived in New Jersey, and I think they give you an audio cassette to listen to on the drive up. And I think we had that audio cassette in my parents' car for the longest time. And we were the most annoying kids in the world because we would make my parents put the audio tape on from the Mount Washington Auto Road, like just driving around town. Like we'd be going to school in the morning. We'd be like, put on the Auto Road tape. So I had for a long time all those facts completely memorized in my head.
Nice.
But yeah, I remember, hearing about the Auto Road being built, and the original Native American name is a Giagachuk, which just one of those facts I remember from that.
Yeah, interesting. You also have Lake Winnipesaukee.
We do. Great salmon fishing.
Lake from the movie What About Bob?
It was, yes. And on Golden Pond was up here.
Is that
too.
right? That was Lake Winnipesaukee?
That was Squam Lake, which was right next to Winnipesaukee.
Interesting.
Yep. But there's actually a hotel called the Manor on Golden Pond, but it's on Squam.
Nice. We spent some time in Wolfsboro at Lake Winnipesaukee. Yep. Our daughter was married at the lake, at the Wolfsboro Inn.
That is where my wife's sister was married.
Nice.
Summers ago.
We were there in, I think it was 2015. I hope she's not listening, but it was.
We were a couple years after.
Yeah. So, yeah, really beautiful up there. You also have something called America's Stonehenge. Do you know anything about that?
I've heard of it before. I've never visited.
Well, this says it's a 4,000-year-old megalithic site located in Mystery Hill, Salem, on Mystery Hill in Salem, New Hampshire.
Okay.
It's 4,000 years old, and you really haven't heard about it? Come on, Jack.
No.
It's the oldest. It's considered the oldest, like the oldest man-made structure in America.
Really?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go visit them. I can't miss out on that one.
No. Guess what? I have a picture for you.
You are so prepared.
This is from Stonehenge.usa or USA.com, America's Stonehenge. Now, their website, I have to say, doesn't help because I don't have any way to know how big that is by looking at the picture.
Yeah, that looks almost like, that fern is probably only like 2-3 feet tall.
I wonder, like, is it like if a person were there, would it look like this? You know, would you have a person?
Yeah, maybe not that. Yeah, maybe not that big of a person, but it would be close. You're in the ballpark.
Or is it giant? You know, and like maybe it's that size. And
Definitely not that size.
I just don't know. Anyway, take your family to America Stonehenge.
All right, we're going as soon as the this whole COVID thing blows over.
All right. Last fun fact, and this one, I think.
Oh, Mallory, you're so late. Sorry, I gotta. Mallory, Quebec Homestead in the chat. You're slacking. You even asked earlier, 7 p.m.
Well, did you say Mallory or Valerie?
Mallory is her name. Mallory is super cool. I'll give her a shout out. Go check out her channel. She's way, way up in Quebec. And she's doing homesteading up there, and she's got some really cool stuff going on.
That's fun. I will definitely. I'm not familiar with that channel, so I'll definitely check that out. Mallory, welcome to the live stream. You'll get to enjoy the next 5 minutes before we wrap up, but we're glad you're here. We'll see how much longer we can talk about it. Anyway, okay, last fun fact. This one I thought was amazing. 1830. Sarah Josepha Hale. Do you know who that is?
I know the name.
You know it?
Yes.
She was an author and a journalist from Newport, New Hampshire. Guess what poem she wrote? Famous poem.
Oh, you're really going to ask me? I thought we weren't getting quizzed.
No points. Just wonder if you know.
I don't know. Off the
Probably one of the most famous poems ever.
Really?
Ready for this?
Yes.
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Oh.
Mary Had a Little Lamb was the poem. And what is amazing to me, I hope people aren't getting too bored. I don't see them dropping off yet. Mary Had a Little Lamb, based on a true story.
Really?
It's based, yep.
Do we know who Mary was? She Mary?
She was not Mary.
So Mary was somebody she knew.
Listen, this is so fascinating that I'm going to share some more information about this. Because what else do we have to do tonight than share about that? There's an article here on the internet that I've got in front of me from Women's World. Mary Had a Little Lamb was based on a true story. Wait. The lyrics of Mary Had a Little Lamb were inspired by Mary Sawyer. So there actually was a Mary.
A Mary Sawyer. I know Mary Sawyer as well.
Mary Sawyer lived in Sterling, Massachusetts in the 1800s. And she took in a lamb that was rejected by its mother on the family farm. She nursed the lamb back to health, and the lamb became Mary's shadow. And as it says here in this article, it indeed went everywhere that Mary went.
That sounds like America's first service animal.
And wait. So the lamb actually followed Mary to school one day. So that was a true story too. And I don't want to make this too boring. I think it's fascinating, but the rest of the world might not. So the lamb followed her to school.
We do have the best alcohol prices up here. I just saw that in the chat.
Alcohol? Nice.
We have state-owned liquor stores on the highway.
State-owned, huh?
Yep.
How does that work? Why does the state own the liquor stores?
They have stronger buying power. They tried to get us the cheapest booze they can.
So are there no privately owned liquor stores?
You can buy beer and wine at grocery stores, but you can also buy wine and then spirits at state-owned stores. And it's I mean, as far as I remember from prices up here versus prices in New Jersey, we're substantially cheaper in the neighborhood of like 20% on most stuff.
We have good gasoline prices here, and you don't pump your own gas.
Yeah, that's pretty cush. You don't have to get out and pump your gas.
We have, you know, across the board, our gas prices are generally lower than the other areas, and we'll never pump our own gas.
I'm going to flip it on you now and ask you a question. Do you tip when somebody pumps your gas in New Jersey?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Not every time, but sometimes, especially when it's really nasty weather.
Yep.
And you just feel bad for usually it's a young guy or young girl out there, and it's I have tipped, not as often as I should. These days though, we rarely have cash with us, which makes it, you know, the tipping world is
it's a little, yeah. The only reason I ask is because I went to New Jersey with a friend from New Hampshire once, and person pumped our gas, and he looked at me and he said, "You don't tip?" And I was like, no, like, it's not like I pulled into a full service station versus it's all full service. Like, they're paid to do this. And he's like, oh, New Hampshire, like, if you go to a full service station, you don't tip, you're a total jerk. And I was like, this is how I lived. It's just how I grew up. I've never tipped.
That's right.
At a gas station in New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't do it enough, but like I said, if it's bad weather and you happen to have some cash, throw them a tip, because it's not a fun job to do. Anyway, I think we talked enough about Mary's Little Lamb. Yeah. That's pretty neat that was a true story. How are we in the comments here?
Margaret tips.
Margaret does tip. That's good. Good job, Margaret. Back to liquor stores. Virginia owns them too. Interesting. Did not know that.
Homestead J. I don't think I've met him, John. Do you know what part of the state he's in?
Where are you reading that?
A little bit will do.
Oh, Homestead J.
John posted Homestead J's in New Hampshire.
I was looking for Homestead J, not John.
No. Sorry. Yeah, I haven't. Honestly, I haven't seen his channel. I don't even know Homestead J as a channel. I'll have to go check him out. I know I've talked with Al up at Lumna Acres. I've talked with Morgan. He's up in northern Vermont. But other than that, I've talked to a few other homesteaders here in the state that have YouTube channels.
Jay could be your neighbor. You didn't even know it.
He might literally be up the road. I'm a terrible YouTuber. I mean, my YouTube consumption, once I started becoming a creator, has dropped drastically. I'm terrible.
Well, you're so busy creating.
I know that's 2 videos a week is a tall order. Sometimes I kick myself for setting that.
Yeah, your About Me page, I think, says videos every Tuesday and Thursday, right?
Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern.
That is a lot to commit to.
I'm actually, once we get off this, I'm gonna buckle down and edit tomorrow's video.
What if you were to change your About Me page that says new videos every Thursday? Would that hurt your heart to have to go back on that, or?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to say I'm a man of my word. I like to set goals and kind of achieve them myself. There are some days where I'll post at 8:30 on like a Monday, like, hey, life took over. I'm not going to be able to put a video out for tomorrow, but I try. I mean, setting those dates and times was almost like an accountability thing for me. Like, if I'm going to do this, because for the first year we had our YouTube channel, I was just randomly uploading here and there. And I think there was a 3-month period during that first 6 months where I just didn't even upload anything.
Yeah.
So it really kind of made me pick up the camera.
I did, I started my channel. I uploaded my first video. I started the channel a while ago, but I committed to it and uploaded my first video March of last year, 2020. It was around the Ides of March, I'd say, March 15th, I think. And I committed to 1 video per week because I had read that's a good way to grow a channel. And I did that for the first, 40 videos or so. But this time of year, there's not much to shoot around here. So I just uploaded a video yesterday for the first time in probably 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and thank you to the viewers who looked at that video. I even got a comment saying, "Oh, I'm glad to see you making a video. Like, it's nice to know you were missed," which is why we're doing the live streams too, just to reconnect.
Yeah,
if you want us to wait for a moment, Jack, John says if you just get up and yell out your window, maybe Homestead Jay will hear you.
Oh, we just put Emma to sleep. I'm not going to start yelling out window.
Not yell out your window.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the hardest thing, and this is, if people in the chat are on Facebook are not necessarily creators, the hardest thing is just making yourself pick this thing up and start carrying it around and looking like an idiot, being like, hey, I'm, out here, we're at Tractor Supply, we're doing whatever today. The hardest thing is just making yourself get up and do it. I mean, even if it's a video where you're just out cleaning the garage, cleaning your cluttered garage, or something like that, you just gotta do it.
I have not yet recorded anything in public. Like you said, like, hey, I'm a Tractor Supply. Like,
yeah, these work great for that.
Yeah, but it's still, I haven't done that. I really enjoy recording, but I don't even like to do it if my family's around.
Yeah.
It's like kind of, I don't know. You feel kind of weird. I'm in this little room right now with the doors closed, even though my family's watching.
It's gotten better since it's almost the bigger that you get, the better the easier it becomes. As we grow as a channel, I've been recognized in public before when I'm like out at a farm store.
Right.
There was a news, and if you go back and look on our social media, we posted about it. There was a news station, a WMUR is the largest news organization in the state. And they did a story on us, like a full 8-minute feature on the farm and our YouTube channel about a month ago now. And since then, I've been recognized a lot. The beard doesn't help. I mean, it kind of gives me away.
Yeah.
But that sort of thing has kind of emboldened me to go out with the camera because people almost expect it now. There's like, oh, there's this farmer from, a town in southwestern New Hampshire, and he's got a YouTube channel. It's no weird thing that he's walking around with a camera. I feel like in the society, the creator as a stigma has kind of dwelled out a little bit, and it's not so uncommon to see somebody even with like a phone held out in front of them.
Yeah, everybody's creating. I was going to grow out a beard for tonight's show.
You should have. I would have sent you some beard oil.
Oh, that's right. You do you want to talk about that real quick? A little bit about.
I mean, super briefly. We have. I've been asked for a while. What your beard. Even for some reason, the last couple of videos, I've gotten a lot of comments about the beard, saying it looks magnificent and things like that. I've had the beard since like 2003. It hasn't been cut off. It's had various different length changes, but it's at a point where it was in my wedding vows to my wife that I would not cut the beard unless she asked me to. So it's here to stay. And I blend my own beard oil that I use to kind of keep things looking fresh and manageable. And that is something, just as a quick aside, on our website, mindfulhomestead.com, we will have those available for sale probably in the next couple months.
Nice. Check out mindfulhomestead.com. Wait, it's themindfulhomestead.com, right?
Nope, just mindfulhomestead.com. Somebody took themindfulhomestead.com. I know, it was a bummer. I was so bummed when I saw it.
Bastages.
Yep, it's for sale, but it was like not something I was going to pay for.
Oh. Hey, let me say hi to Brandon here. Brandon, let me introduce you to Mallory from Quebec because you're both late to the party. There are latecomers.
You guys
Mallory,
were hanging out under the bleachers, weren't you?
Missing
class.
I know Brandon's not in Quebec, but maybe he's on Quebec time with Mallory. We're glad you're here. Sorry to beat you up there, Brandon and Mallory, who also says she's the most inconsistent posting schedule. It's all right.
Yeah. I'll beat you up, Mallory, on that one. You gotta upload more. Mallory's got great live streams though, Wednesday nights, if you're looking for something to do.
Oh, that's good. Listen, there's almost 40 people watching at this very moment live. So I think when we finish up here, we should all head over to Mallory's at the Quebec Homestead, and we should check out her channel, and we should subscribe to it. And join her when? Wednesday?
Wednesday night is her live. I think 9 p.m. Eastern time. She's a little bit later.
Have you been her guest?
Yeah. So Mallory has like just full on panels sometimes where, she'll have a topic, she'll talk a little bit about it, and then she'll just bring people up that want to join in. It's kind of like an open party. Things can get a little crazy over there sometimes. Sometimes it ends up going a little bit late night.
Yeah, and all those Canadians,
all those crazy
a bit crazy.
Yep.
It's
fun. There's a few streams on Mallory's channel that are set to private now. They're no longer public.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to throw her right under the bus. She's going to be so pissed at me.
Yeah. Watkins Tree Farm is asking why they pump your gas. You're talking about here in New Jersey. I think New Jersey and Oregon are the only two states that have full service, or did Oregon do away with it?
I'm not sure about Oregon.
Well, they were. I mean, it was New Jersey and Oregon, the only two full service states. But to answer the question why, I think because they just never got away from it. I don't know why. I mean, it doesn't make sense. We should be paying more for gas because of that service, but we're not. It's pretty average.
It was probably a safety thing at some point. Somebody decided it was safer.
Yeah. Back when you had to start your car with a crank and everything, like we didn't want you spilling gas. So, you upset your friend. She's
it's all right. You'll be back. They all come back.
So let me look at my notes before we wrap things up, Jack. I don't like to go too much over. We're usually running about an hour with these things, and I don't want to see people get more bored than they might already be. I hope that folks have been entertained. I really appreciate that they've hung in here to watch us. I do have some notes on here. Yeah, we answered questions. We did all that. Awesome. What do you think, Jack? Anything else that you wanted to talk about with the
No,
fine?
I think we hit it all. I mean, for an hour-long conversation, I think we covered as much as we'll cover.
Awesome. Well,
I
look,
got to figure out how to get my camera as my webcam because you're dwarfing me with your quality over there.
full HD quality over here. You know,
I know. I need to get on the bus.
actually, we're only streaming at 720p, not 1080, because that's I use this StreamYard. I was trying to think what it's called. StreamYard service, and you have to pay for that. There are ways to do it for free. In fact, my first live stream was done with OBS at no cost, but it was kind of clunky. But anyway, I paid for a membership to StreamYard, but the tier that I'm at only streams at 720p. So,
gotcha.
If you want to see this in 1080, then we got to pay more for that. Nobody wants to see this in 1080 though, and some people are like, "What are you even talking about?" But that's how it is. So, listen, Jack, I am really glad that you joined us tonight. I think this was a lot of fun. And again, for anybody who's watching, head on over to the Mindful Homestead YouTube channel, subscribe to Jack's channel. And I forgot to ask, I always meant to do this earlier on, but for anybody who's left watching the live stream, if you enjoyed this live stream tonight, please click that thumbs up button. When you do that, it kind of helps the whole YouTube algorithm thing and lets the computers know that, wow, people like this. It must be good. Let's show some other people, because others can watch it in the replay, the ones who weren't fortunate enough to be here live with us. So at any rate, this was fun. Jack, thanks so much. Best of luck to you with your channel, with your homestead, with your family. And I really, really appreciated talking to you this evening.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
You bet. We'll catch up soon. Everybody else, thanks so much for joining us. Please continue the conversation in the comments, either the live chat or when this does get uploaded in the other comment section. Check out my latest video that I uploaded last night. And until next time, actually next week, we're going to have, I believe, Phil from Woods Tree Farm is going to be my guest next week. And we've got some other folks lined up. So we're going to have a good time. So if you subscribe to my channel, click that little notification bell. You'll be notified whenever we go live or post a new video. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks for watching.